Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive, and welcome to my continuing deep dive series into Shadows of Brimstone. And we are continuing to look at our core sets. And in this episode, we are going to focus on traveling to towns after missions and then going over what happens in the towns when you get there. And this is only for the base sets, the core sets. After this after these videos on the core sets, the first expansion we're going to be taking a look at will be the Frontier Town expansion. And we'll see how that expansion really increases the fun that you can have in the settlement phase of these games. And then, of course, also looking forward to the Feudal Village expansion for Forbidden Fortress. Now, there are also quite a few fan expansions that expand upon the traveling part of the game. The main one would be, of course, your Hex Crawl expansion, which is only for the Western sets. I think some people are working on a Hex Crawl expansion for Forbidden Fortress, I'm hoping. And then, of course, we will also take a look at the travel hazards book that someone has put together. I just downloaded it, and I'm going to print it out and get that spiral bound for our look. So the travel, the settlement phase of the Shadows of Brimstone games, all of the rules are in your adventure books. And this is another element that really does align Shadows of Brimstone more with Warhammer Quest than it does other modern dungeon crawls. And of course, Darklight Memento Mori, which is also a Warhammer Quest derivative, also has elements of this. And so after a mission, after you have gone through the mines or through the swamps of Dragano or the Targa Plateau, after you've gone through your mission, your quest, you do want to travel back to town, because as you travel back to town, when you travel back to town, you can heal and you can have other adventures, and you can buy gear, you can upgrade your stats, you can upgrade the gear in your weapons and your armor and all of that kind of stuff. But in the base game, when you want to travel to town, every hero first rolls a d6, and then if any hero or every hero that rolls a 1 or 2, they have a travel hazard. Now, the base game is pretty stingy on the travel hazards. So if you only get the base game, I do recommend downloading either the Hex Crawl or the fan-made travel hazard book to add a lot of variety, because with just the core sets, you only have 18 or so. Actually, I think it's just 15, because it starts at 3, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 different events. And you're going to start seeing the same ones over and over again. It's one area where I feel like the core sets are pretty stingy, along with the number of missions that they supply. They really should have had at least a D36 travel hazard chart in the core sets like Warhammer Quest did. But you're going to roll, and you're going to have different things that your characters are going to have to face as they journey back to town. Characters can get possessed, face a void storm, a flash flood, harried by hellbats. You can come across a destroyed bridge or bandits, a gulch ambush, void hound attack, massacred wagon, an army convoy. So all kinds of different things. And then once you reach town, that is where you are somewhat safe, but some of the town events can also be quite deadly. But so you're going to get back to town, and then you're going to set up your little town locations. You will have random town locations, sometimes that will get destroyed and you're going to roll a d6. There's a whole other way of handling all of this stuff with the expansion. A day in town, you will have the hotel and the campsite. Those are two different places where you can stay to try to heal up. You can visit a town location, and then the longer you stay in town, the more kind of like dangerous the events are going to get. You can buy and sell equipment. You can buy services. You can sell darkstone, or you can forge darkstone into upgrading all of your various items. So a lot of fun can be had in the town. It can still pose some danger, so you're never quite safe. Although I don't think that the traveling, at least in the base game and really in the expansions, is never really quite as deadly as it is in Warhammer Quest and Darklight Memento Mori. Because in both of those games, there are ways to just straight up die. I don't believe there are any just straight up roll one, you're done deaths in these travel hazards. But once you get to town, you can then bust out your town pages here. And I, of course, have laminated all of mine. You have your basic Frontier town information sheet. This is going to tell you what happens when you visit a town. It costs $10 to stay at the hotel, or you can stay for free at the campsite, which is a little more dangerous. If you stay for free at the campsite at the end of your turn, you do have to roll on this chart to see what kind of danger that you will face in the unpredictable campsite. And then as you stay in town, you're going to keep track of how many days your stay is. And depending on a certain roll of a d6, you're going to roll. If you roll under how many days you've stayed, I think you are safe. Let's say at the end of each day, the hero posse must roll a d6. If the roll is higher than the current position of the darkness marker, then the day ends without incident. But if it's equal to or less than the track, you're going to have to roll on the town event chart. And this is where things can get pretty deadly. So you don't want to linger in town more than a couple days. There will be void twisters. Your town can be overrun. A fire can break out. A plague, spreading fear, intense dread. The end is nigh. All people are stocking up on supplies and weapons, feeling like the next big attack could come at any time. All prices are plus $50. And the town can be rotten from within. Again, the town expansion greatly increases all of the crazy stuff that can happen in town. And that is why I do consider it an essential expansion. And now we have the places that you can visit. And these are just the basic places, just the ones included in the two core sets. They are the same. I do have the upgraded ones because I did buy one of the upgrade packs. There are very few differences. Most of the differences I have noticed has just been in clarity of writing and a couple prices. For instance, originally in the original set, a hunting knife costs $400. In the new revised edition, the hunting knife costs $250, and it has a few additional rules associated with it. So like I've said before, I know people are commenting that like, yes, there are changes in the revised editions. There aren't a lot, but there are some. However, I have never played a game of Shadows of Brimstone using the basic unrevised versions where I've thought, man, this really needs to be revised. That's why I'm saying, like, don't feel, if you only have the older unrevised versions, don't feel like you need to get the revised versions. Don't feel like you need to spend the crazy prices on eBay to get the upgrade kits. Your game is still perfectly fine. And you can download the new rule books and adventure books to get some of the revised stuff for free from the Flying Frogs production, from their website. So the upgrades are sometimes nice, sometimes they are so small that I wonder why they even did it, but I never feel like I really needed to get them. But there will be, I think there are 6 different locations. The Frontier Outpost is one. Whenever you visit a location, you're going to roll on this chart to figure out what kind of random thing is going to happen at your location. Very cool. more dungeon crawls need something like this. I think it really just adds a lot of charm and character. And then on the back of each chart, you're going to have all of the services, all of the gear that you can buy. You know, here you can sell Darkstone. You can, if you're an outlaw, you can hold up the outpost bank, which is cool. You can train with soldiers. You can go on get bounties. So then the next time you go on a mission, if you have one of these bounties and you kill one of those creatures, you get more gold for it. And then it's going to have a bunch of items that you can purchase. Now, there are a ton of loot cards in Shadows of Brimstone when you combine the gear and the artifacts. Hundreds and hundreds. However, there are no official gear loot cards for the things you buy in the town. And so this is why I also think it's better to play Shadows of Brimstone using a character sheet and writing the things that you have on the character sheet. I do believe that some fans have created, every once in a while, these cards for these items will show up on Arts Cow or Printer Studio. But I also think that Flying Frog does take them down, you know, copyright violations, that kind of thing, which I understand. You know, a company does need to protect its copyright and its trademarks. However, I also think that because the demand is there, that the frogs should make cards for these items and sell them as an upgrade pack. That is one upgrade that I might buy, even though I usually do play with the character sheets. But then you can also visit the blacksmith. This is the original blacksmith sheet here. These are the things that are going to happen on during your stay at the blacksmith, your random event chart. You can buy transport items that will help you during the travel phase. You can also rent or buy a stagecoach. And then here are the items that you can buy. You can buy a tomb chest, which a tomb chest will hold Darkstone. One of the things you do is after a mission, you tally up all of the Darkstone your character is carrying and any Darkstone that you have used to upgrade your items. You get a certain total, and then you roll for each of those. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but if you roll a certain number, you're going to get mutations, because Darkstone is like, it's like irradiated, you know, and you will have to roll on the mutation chart. Some of the mutations are a lot of fun. Some of them will actually give you additional powers. However, if you ever roll the same mutation twice, that is one way for an instant death. You can go to, I think it's the doctor's office. I can't remember exactly, but one of the settlement locations, you can have mutations removed. There was one error here, and they did correct it on the upgrade. These two items should be swapped, so they did end up upgrading that or correcting that error. I just drew on my laminated sheet there with a Sharpie. A lot of problems in games can be corrected with a Sharpie. But at the Blackstone, you're going to be able to upgrade your gear with Darkstone. And then we have the church here. Here are the different things you can encounter at the church. Cult worshippers, a gift and a blessing, a protective shield. You can remove madness. So madness are persistent mental injuries. And you can go to the church and get exorcised of your madness. However, you can also die, because if you roll really poorly, it is you will have a bad time at the church. You can banish corruption. You can resurrect a dead hero. And then you can get different auras at the church that will help you in your upcoming mission, kind of like getting blessed in Dungeon Crusade. And then there are some items you can purchase. One of the characters that was changed most in the upgraded version is the priest. And so there are some differences in the things that you can purchase as the holy characters, the holy priest at the church. Next up, we have our saloon. And these are all the different things, all the different encounters you can have at the saloon. So you can, an attempt on your life can be made by an assassin. You can break out into song and dance, a catchy tune, become the hero of the people. So lots of fun there. There are ways to gamble in the saloon. You can play a game of casual poker, brimstone craps, a saloon girl performance. You can purchase whiskey. It's always good to have whiskey with you. You can buy a cask of whiskey. Highly recommend buying whiskey by the cask full. It's always nice to have extra, right? In real life and in the game. And then if you are the saloon girl, you have access to these bonus features. So again, some of the heroes will have extra things that they can do in each location, which is a lot of fun. It makes the characters stand out from each other. And the doc's office there, doctor's office, you can have surgery that's went to remove an injury or a mutation. But again, if you're super unlucky and you have a negative to your die roll somehow and you get a 0, you will die. And then you will have to go to the church to be resurrected. Hopefully the other party wants to spend gold on resurrecting you. You can treat corruption. As corruption gets stronger, you can buy bandages, healing items, tonics. A specimen jar, those are pretty cool. I think the Frontier Doctor character uses specimen jars in a different way. The bone saw is a weapon that you can get. And then you can get injections, and these injections will help you on future missions. And then there is the general store. Sometimes the general store might be closed. Maybe there's a robbery, a fire sale, everything is cheaper. And then you can purchase all kinds of different items at the general store. Whiskey, bandages, dynamite, tonic. You can get specialty ammo, which is a lot of fun. You can get different pistols here. Quick draw pistol, gunfighter's pistol. If you're a performer, you can get the little holdout pistol. And then you can buy all kinds of gear, hats, clothing, and equipment that add a little bit to your stats. The sombrero. I always like buying a sombrero if I'm an outlaw. Or a harmonica, if I want to play like a harmonica from Once Upon a Time in the West. And then you have your basic town chart here, your town map here, which is going to be so when something bad happens at one of the locations, you're going to roll a d6 and you'll have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can move your character to the hotel to stay there. If you're staying at the campsite, you go there. And then here's where you keep track of how many days you stayed in town. And on the back of this sheet, we'll have some charts you roll during the main game when you are trying to hold back the darkness. If you fail, then bad things will happen to you. And depending on if you are in the mines or if you are in the other worlds of the Targa Plateau or the swamps of Jargano. All right, and then that brings us to the Feudal Village. And this, again, is the basic Feudal Village that is just found in the core set for Forbidden Fortress. The one expansion I am so looking forward to, again, is that Feudal Village expansion. I cannot wait to see the kind of stuff it adds because, once again, you do only have the 3d6 hazard chart. So you are going to be seeing these travel hazards pop up much more frequently than you would like. It really does start to get boring quickly. And so I'm not sure why they skimped out on the hazard charts so much. I mean, it's like this all of this cost is writing. You know, they could have had their staff come together and in one day filled out like 6 pages of travel hazards. They probably just want to sell that expansion. So again, I guess the Games Workshop model, right? But the Feudal Village is very similar. It's kind of just a variation on the theme of the Frontier Village. You do have these same rules. You can stay at the campsite. The campsite is more dangerous than the hotel. So if you stay at the campsite, you might have to deal with some bad stuff. You do also have your town events, dragon attack, town overrun, fire. A lot of them are the same. I'm hoping that in the expansion they make it feel more different. They add more flavor to make the Feudal Village feel like its own thing. And in the Feudal Village, you have your House of Healing, your Swordsmith, your Tavern, your Guardhouse, your Shrine, and your Village Market. Now, there is one more town that comes with the Blasted Wastes expansion, and we'll take a look at that when we get to that expansion. And that's a really fun town. It has some different things going on. So we have our House of Healing here. Again, location chart. Pretty much like the doc's office, just different flavor text, really. Different ways that you can have your healing rune stones. You have your swordsmith, which is a lot like your blacksmith. You can purchase transportation. And then you can purchase all of your weapons and upgrade your weapons and your armor and stuff with dark stone. You have your guardhouse here with those location events, the different things you can purchase down there. And then on the back, you can, if you are a soldier, you can do these things. You can buy these things and you can become a night watchman. Maybe earn a little bit of money while you're staying in town. We have our tavern here. Different things you can buy. Instead of whiskey, you buy sake here. An outlaw, you can go into the back room. If you're stealth, you can sneak upstairs, kind of like an assassination guild. So our assassin character can go up there. That's pretty cool. You have your shrine, which is like your church. And the monk, the holy hero, so the monk or the preacher could take advantage of the Yamabushi sect special items and services. And then you have your general store, your village market, which is where you can buy all kinds of stuff. And you have your back alley shop. So if you're a magic hero, you can go back into the back alley and take advantage of some of the more mystical items. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed that look at the town stuff. I love games with town events. They're always super fun. And I wish more games had things to do in between the questing and the combat. Even though these things are not like, they're not super complex, they're not super involved, you're not going to be spending a ton of time in between missions, but it does just add some flavor, it adds some character, it helps flesh out the world to make it feel like it's more than just a series of dungeons. And that was a really started and probably done best at the core level with Warhammer Quest. But again, once you start adding in the expansions for this, the Frontier Town, it really elevates Shadows of Brimstone's settlement phase to a whole new level. And you'll see why when we look at that. So, all right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.